Perfect, thank you.
Got it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, all right. Meeting is now called to order at 7:03. Monica, is the first order of business to change the agenda?
Yes, so if we
Okay.
would like to add the I guess discussion of sustainable CT equity, you know, however you want to word that, but it will be under new item or new business item C, and then we can also vote to talk about that now. So
Okay.
it would be, the motion would be to add new business item C, talking with our sustainability coach, and then move to also have that come before everything.
Okay, I would like to move that we add discussion with the sustainability coach to the agenda and move it to the first item on the agenda. Can I have
I'll
a second
second
for
that.
that? Okay, Ray seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Welcome, Kamara. Ray, do you want to introduce her or you just?
Yeah, I just want to explain the process. We were, Janine and I took some training for the sustainable equity, CT stuff. And then I'm on the second level of training now, and I attended a meeting. And we were under the assumption that we had a coach for the town, and it turns out we didn't. So I commenced the process to do that, along with Ginny there, who is I guess our sustainable CT chairperson in the town. So we've got Kamar assigned to us as an equity coach. And hopefully she just was assigned, I think yesterday or the day before, so we just got started. Hopefully she can help us kind of, I know we're in the process right now, this is my vision anyways, that we were in the process of writing an equity statement, but we were kind of doing that from like abstract positions. We hadn't really, reached out to the public. So I think I think what Kamara's going to be able to help us with is to help us reach out to the community, find ways to reach out to the community so that we can identify the needs that are, that are in our town in relation to equity and human rights and whatnot. So we would expect Kamara to, and she's available to all the departments in all the town. I'm going to use her also on the agricultural committee at some point in Taste of Mansfield. But, I'll be, that's a separate thing from this committee. So she's available to help us in any way we can, but I think the big thing we need is just to get an idea from her and not today, for sure, because she doesn't know us or anything about the town yet. But just get an idea, like how do we go about getting from the public what their concerns are? I think that's a big thing. And then once we find those out, we can, address them.
Yep.
Yes,
Barbara,
Monica.
we have finally made it. It took 3 years to do what you suggested the first time we ever met. So we have made it, and I'm very happy to hear that. Okay, well, Kamara, since you just got a point, oh, Monica, what?
So I just wanted to I think clarify a little bit too. So we have worked on an equity statement that we would like to have reviewed, I think, with you if that's possible. I don't know if it was done in the right way, but the reason why we did it the way we did was because we wanted it to kind of coincide with our school's equity statement.
Mhm.
So
Is this the one that you sent, Monica?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe it is, yes. I don't know if you've already met to talk about that yet, but that I thought was the next step. So I just want to make sure that that was.
I did read it and it looked excellent. I mean, there wasn't anything I would change or add. I thought it was.
The only problem with that statement is that it was written by somebody just sitting down and writing it, and it's not really based on the community. Only one person's opinion of the community, and that's where the error comes in. And that's from discussions we've had with Sustainable CT.
Oh, okay. So, well, it was written by our committee. It was not written just by one person.
Yeah, but I'm saying the committee's not large, yeah.
So,
Need to be outside the commit, from what I've been told. This type of statement, first of all, we don't need to actually write one if we didn't want to, because as far as the goal certification goes, the Board of Education one is good enough. We don't have to have one.
Oh.
The town doesn't have to have one. We're not going to get any extra points or anything like that if we have one, but we want to have one just because we think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I agree.
Did you
So
send
we
that
don't
out to all of us?
Okay.
Monica, did that equity statement go out to everybody?
That had been going out for a long time, yes. So
Oh, okay.
this is something months ago, it might even be a year
Oh.
at this point, that
Okay.
was supposed to be discussed and we just hadn't had the right traction. So,
Okay.
yes, I understand now. I'm glad that we clarified that. Thank you.
Yes, I was given information on, there's 3 towns that kind of have like a really good equity statement. I haven't had a chance to pull those up yet, but over the time, I'm gonna pull those up and I'll have them for Debbie, once I get them done. And those are kind of the example equity statements, but what's good about those statements, if you look at them, is that it talks about, this community group said that this is the need of, it's more based on what the town is, what the community has told us. Because I mean, there's no pressing, we haven't had a murder in town, we haven't had any real big, there's not been anything really drastic in town that we can rally around. So we're kind of like pulling teeth from people that I find to be apathetic at times as far as, trying to talk about their own community.
Well,
So-
you know what, I'm just gonna say, I feel the pulling teeth part I agree with. I'm not sure there's apathy. I'm pretty sure there's fear.
Okay,
People do not want to be visible. They don't want to say anything. And I've had people tell me that privately, people of color particularly. So it's important that we figure out how to develop trusting relationships with people who might have something to say.
good.
And I think there are plenty of them. So Kamora, can you just tell us what your job is in general and what we should be trying to figure out with you?
Well, my job in general is to help you figure out what you need to do. And I love that part. One of the things I've enjoyed listening to this conversation about the equity statement. And Ray, know that the reason why I jumped on the conversation this evening, so Ray invited me yesterday, and said, I know this is very short notice, but we're having a meeting tomorrow evening. So if you can make it, but don't worry, there's plenty of time. And that one line, there's plenty of time, let me know that I really want to jump in and start working with you, because one place that many towns and communities and organizations get it wrong is this is very important. We need to do it now. And it is very important. And if you do it now, you'll get it wrong. So a big part of my work is to help you understand that creating a long, arduous, complicated process that really creates spaces for all voices and sectors of your community to be a part of creating whatever equity is, and whatever equity is in Mansfield, right? So Sustainable CT knows what equity is from that lens. I've got my lens. As a community, you're going to have to figure out what it's going to look like on your end. And so, yes, we do look at some of the benchmarks, and as you're working, I don't know, because I haven't gotten any paperwork on you yet. Have you been certified? Are you working towards certification with Sustainable CTs yet?
We're silver certified right now, and I guess we have until August of next year. I don't know why, but August of next year is the next time for us, I guess, and we're shooting for gold. I mean, that's the town goal. I know that's maybe a lot optimistic, and we've had meetings on that and how to, develop points, and all that's good, and it started the process, but it's more about, to me anyways, it's more about having a good equity statement that is a living, breathing, good document.
And then doing the work to make sure that everyone is working towards that.
Correct.
So like you said, utilizing my services in agriculture is exactly the right way to think about using me. So it's not, okay, we want to do the diversity fair, so how do we call Kamora? But it is, as a town, we're doing this that's going to connect with the community. We're doing this that's going to affect this community. We need to dig a ditch. We need to have a new plan on snow removal. The place where people used to get their sand is no longer available, so we need to change that. Equity, figuring out how to pull the equity coach into all of those conversations and spaces is what I'm here for. So that when we get to next August, it's not running quickly to make sure that you're checking off boxes, but it's realizing that all of this has been incorporated in what you do, and you just get to explain how you've done it rather than trying to figure out ways to jump up and do equitable benchmarks.
Okay, Kamara, I have one thing that I am very concerned about. This is my part of the issue. There's lots of issues. I have heard from parents that students of color, especially in the middle school, get harassed and the teachers have not been properly trained on interventions to stop harassment and understand what microaggressions are. And it's not just African American students, and it's not just the middle school, it also happens in the high school. It is also students from Pakistan, South Asia,
Mhm.
and Muslim students, and they are not treated well by their peers, and the teachers don't know what to do about it. And that's what I've been told. I have no firsthand knowledge of this. But what we do have is a survey that the high school paid for that is damning about what goes on in the high school, and we have to get you that so you can take a look at it. It tells and they did a lot of interviews with a lot of kids and probably some parents, and they said exactly what was wrong. So I think we have a roadmap of where to begin on that particular issue. I mean, there's other issues like they moved the sandbox. Can the seniors get to where they go if they want to walk? You know, I know all that stuff. My particular concerns are about racial discrimination. So that's me, and that's what I yell about. So I will get you that statement from the high school, which got published, and I was amazed that they published it. And it tells you everything that those students think needs to be addressed. So that's my number one thing, and that's the thing I would like to put some energy into, figuring out a way to let those people talk to us without the interference of school administration, which seems to be something of a concern.
Thank you, and that's something that I enjoy doing. And I enjoy doing that when I'm working with towns. I will share with you that I'm a product of Summers, Connecticut, and you see looking at me that I'm a Black woman. And I want to say 1986, the Hartford Courant felt the need to do an article about the experiences of Black and brown children in Connecticut suburbs. And they interviewed my brother, and he was one of, I think, maybe 7 or 8 kids. But my family came to Bristol, Connecticut through the Great Migration. And my father's cousins, when they read the article, when we were at my Aunt Laura May's house, the conversation was how disgusting and awful that here it is 1987 and it's the same. And I can tell you, as someone who works with many small towns in Connecticut, it's 2024, and for many of our children, it's still the same. And so, Jane, please get me that information.
How do I send you something? Do we have an email address for you?
Yeah, I have
Ray-
it. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
I'll pass it on.
And Kamara, I'm not home, and it's only on a piece of paper. I don't think I have it in my computer, but I'm going home in the middle of July and I will find it.
okay. I like pieces of paper. I like reading. If there's a summary, please send me the summary. I enjoy summaries, but I enjoy reading.
Okay.
So whatever documents, if you're sure, oh, you know what, this is way too much and she's not gonna be at all interested, please send it to me.
Okay.
I enjoy the information, and again, someone who's from small town Connecticut, as I'm reading information over years, I'll sort of be looking for some of the same last names. I enjoy how that works in towns, and I know that those dynamics are just as important, or can be just as dynamic, as important as race, as class. In a lot of small town Connecticut, race can seem to take a back seat to socioeconomic status, as well as family name and family history in that town. And all of this creates really strange ways to wade through creating equity.
One of the big names in Mansfield of people of African descent is Hopkins. Chief of
Yes.
Police Anthony Hopkins, Joyce Hopkins, and children who went to E.O. Smith and got very badly treated. And father will not speak up even though he's infinitely competent. So, and I've known them for about 45 years.
Okay, in this work, if anyone in here sends me an email, or if you give me a call, if we figure out a time to talk, if there's any part of our conversation, if there are names that are shared, that it's just way better that we don't share, be sure to let me know that.
Okay.
So that when we come back to larger meetings and larger conversations, I won't share any of that information. Also, as we move forward, if there are people in your community who you think I should talk to, elected officials to town residents, be sure to connect me with those folks.
Oh, have I got stuff for you? Go ahead, Debbie.
Thank you, Jane and Kamora. So I know obviously we're just talking about the town of Mansfield with about equity. And I just want to encourage us to see what other groups who are very active with this same issue, for example, our local branch of the NAACP. And I work very closely with them, especially on their legal redress committee. And we meet with parents and school administrators and children in surrounding towns all of the time. Because as Jane said, there has been just, in the past few months, a lot of harassment and acts of prejudice and racism with children in the middle schools and in the high schools. And we do have someone on our committee right now who's working with Mansfield, the elementary school, to do some training with the teachers because of things that have happened. So we do have things going on, and we do have organizations that are also interested in this subject. And, maybe there's a way that we can work together around diversity and equity and inclusion, even though we're just focusing on Mansfield.
I think
For this
we're
committee.
focusing on Mansfield, but our mandate is and other towns in Northeast Connecticut, so I don't think we need to worry about it too much.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
And one of the goals for if Mansfield's human rights efforts are to be sustainable, we have to collaborate with other agencies. We have to collaborate with other groups. So, we're going to build those relationships, and that's exactly what we have to do. We're not expecting to do it by ourselves. There's like you say, there's all kinds of good stuff happening all around us, and we just want to make that part of the thread that is Mansfield.
Sure.
Yeah,
Good.
one of the first things, once we start actually working together, one of the very first things we're going to do is we're going to list all of the stakeholders. And that'll be something we can do together as a group, but also everyone on their own is going to be asked to go think of, who are the large stakeholders, who are the, tell me how UConn is important. But who are the large stakeholders? Who are the small stakeholders, and everyone else in between. So the NAACP is important, as well as the residents who belong to the NAACP and support it, as well as the residents who wonder why NAACP exists. But really, and when it comes to, that the equity scorecard, if you're at all interested, one of the things I do like about that is this piece, and figuring out who all of the stakeholders are, and making sure that the town, because with Sustainable CT, the client is always the town, but making sure that the town is aware of all of the amazing different organizations, large and small. I forget, I want to say Vernon has a museum, and they've got a ridiculously small, do you know that? Yes, in this museum is like, there are all of these communities that they were having a hard time connecting with, and it just took connecting to this small, strange, beautiful museum, and then boom, everything happened. What is that museum, Janine?
I don't remember the name of it, but I'm I also with my son, the NAACP youth college group chapter in Wyndham Willimantic. And I know that they were always pushing, go see the museum, go see the museum. I didn't get a chance to, but you learn about even the history of Connecticut. Like even Martin Luther King came up here from down south to work in the tobacco fields. I was like, I never knew that. And the sustainability with the stakeholders, I remember having that training like a few months ago, finding out who those stakeholders are. I'm also curious to see, you're saying about I'm sorry, I apologize for coming in late, and I'm just, bad habit, I jump right in. With E.O. Smith, we have kids that come from Columbia, Willington, Ashford. I would like to know what they're doing in their middle schools and elementary schools, because I mean, my husband's from India, so they, my kids felt some of that brunt when we moved from Boston to here. We're not just only dealing with Mansfield. When the kids get older, they're dealing from those other towns that come in. I'm wondering, what they're kind of doing to help with this, because yes, when they get up to high school, it's microaggressions, those subtle comments that the teachers don't necessarily hear, and other kids are the bystanders and they're not doing anything. So I would like to know what programs, what are they doing in Wellington, in Ashford, in Columbia, elementary through middle school. I'd like to know what's going on with that.
Andover in particular, I've heard a lot of complaints about.
Yeah, forgot about that one.
Janine, do you have that chart that the Smith report came out with?
I'd have to look through my email and through the in my file, I'd have to look through that. I could
Okay,
try
because
to-
I'm not going to be home for a while, and if you could find it, let me know and we'll send it to Kamora so she can take a look at it.
If
I
not,
have
I
the
have
one- I
connections.
have
I'll
the
get a hold of
one-
it.
I have that one-page thing they published. I can send that.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Okay.
And then I'm sure there's a tremendous amount of information behind that. That was just a summary.
Yeah, if you recall, several meetings ago and ever since,
Thank you.
I've been trying to meet with the principal from Neil Smith and have been unsuccessful.
Yes, well, I've been trying
I'm
for
gonna
years.
try to meet with him this summer and really put him on the spot. If I don't get any satisfaction, I'm just gonna go up there and barge in, but it's time to talk. I wanna know his process. I wanna see his data. I wanna know what's going on.
Good luck with that.
I can be pretty forceful.
Well, yes, I'm sure you can.
Well, it's interesting.
Okay, and what
I'm-
else? What else?
I think we're good on this for the time being. Kamora, if you wanna stay with our meeting, you're certainly welcome to. We're gonna get on with our other business, I think, at this point.
I've got to go pack a bag for tubing. So tomorrow we are going and we're dragging our food along behind us. So I've got some stuff to do and I've got a 12-year-old boy to get together on this one. But I'm really looking forward to this. When I first stepped in and heard that there was an equity statement, Ray, thank you for speaking of it the way you did, because I was like, oh, we're there. But I do, when it comes to engaging with different folks in your community, different stakeholders and such, it's nice when there's an existing equity statement that we can possibly have community conversations and such around about what's wrong with it and who feels left out.
Oh, good.
And
Okay, good.
if
That's
we
a good
use
approach.
that in different spaces, so think about spaces and places and ways to do that so that we can get the right information from the right people, even if it involves someone calling you and explaining. It doesn't matter if they tell you what's wrong with it anyway, because no one in town ever listens to them because ... That's wonderfully important information.
Okay, that would be the senior citizens. They're the ones who talk that way.
And
That-
they write forever. I love them. Did
Yeah.
I say I love reading? Like, I love listening to seniors' complaints and why? Tell me why. Once we get to El Grasso, life is great and we're just gone. But start thinking about your equity statement like that and start looking at it with critical eyes. You are the angry, cranky senior. You are the angry, cranky mother of an immigrant child. You're the angry, cranky, whoever human who chooses to live in Mansfield, who's not leaving Mansfield because you love Mansfield. And what in this statement leaves you and your people out. And please, again, send me all of your information. We'll set up a time when we can have an actual sustainable CT meeting around equity. But thank you very much for inviting me this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Okay,
And I'd like whoever can find that E.O. Smith chart, send it to everybody as well as Kamora.
Yes, ma'am.
thank
I don't know
you.
where mine is. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, bye-bye.
All right.
Okay, so let us resume the initial order of the meeting. And the first thing we have to do is have a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting. I have read them. They don't seem to have any mistakes in them. Is there anybody who is willing to?
So
Um,
moved.
Ray moves, somebody second to accept the minutes. Debbie seconds, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Minutes are accepted. Okay. What's next on the agenda?
We have the affordable housing check-in, which Debbie's continuing to work on, so. Yeah, you're not meeting this month, right, Debbie?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand you, Ray. Say that
The
again.
The Affordable Housing Committee's not meeting this month, right?
No, we're not meeting until August.
So we're still on the same information we're on from last month.
Yes, but they are
Okay.
willing to meet with us in August or September or invite you to one of our meetings. So that's something we should probably have a decision on, so I could share that with them.
Okay.
If there's any thoughts or discussion on that.
When do they meet?
Well, they meet the day after us.
Okay, so the
Yep.
first Thursday of the month.
We
would
meet
be-
the
Yeah.
first Thursday at 5 o'clock.
Okay, so if it's easier for that, I don't know what their availability is to meet at 7 PM the night before their meetings, well, the first Wednesday. I am happy to, if they're coming to our meeting and it's not gonna be a special meeting. I'm happy to do it here just because I know it puts the workload on me. I don't wanna necessarily put the workload on, Dorothy.
Dorothy, right?
But if that does not work, that's okay. The other thing that we can do is, I can. If you want to, actually, if you want to connect to see what days or what nights work best for the Affordable Housing Committee, I can send out a email to all of us and try and get a, meeting, we'll do a special meeting of our committee to meet with them.
Mhm.
So that's another option. Maybe, I think Michael is the chair.
Yes, yeah, I can be in touch with Michael because we email, so.
Yeah, if you float it by him and just see like if he would prefer to come to one of our meetings or have the group come to one of our meetings, or if there's just a night that works really well for everybody.
Yeah.
And I can float it through our people and make it a little easier on Dorothy.
Okay, all right. Probably, I'm thinking, probably in a separate meeting wouldn't work, because I think most of us have meetings, standing meetings every night, so
Right.
I think either coming to part of this or part of affordable housing would probably work best,
Okay.
for those people who can make it.
Mhm.
Doesn't have to be every single committee member by any means. I think we had talked about that, and like if 2 or 3 people come, maybe 4, it doesn't have to be the whole committee.
Right, it would just, the only thing that changes is the workload on the
Right,
staff
yeah.
member, and like I said, I'm happy to take that on.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
sure,
I'll let them know, Monica. Thank you. And I'll
Yeah,
get back to
absolutely.
you. Okay, thanks.
Okay. The next thing on the agenda is community conversations then.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think that what Kamora just suggested to us is another whole stream of community conversations. If we get that equity document out and talk about who we like to discuss it with, those would be very easy to do, and we can, I mean, I went to the senior center once and I had quite a conversation with the people who showed up, and I'd love to do that again. But then the question is, where else would we do it? How would we publicize it? And I think it wouldn't be that hard to do. It wouldn't cost anything. So I think we ought to put that on our agenda, that we'll have a couple of community conversations about the equity document and what are your human rights. And I was thinking we ought to do something about, let's make the 10 first human rights into some kind of a graphic, and then let's have conversations with people. And I think we can put that all together and have a couple, maybe one in September and one in October, or one in November, and just schedule them. And what do you, I mean, and then I'm happy to facilitate those things. I welcome anybody else who wants to. And we'll just start soliciting input from people.
I told you I attended another training for sustainable CT, I think it was last week. And, they just talk about like, just like maybe take a window, and it's something I would be willing to do. Take a window, maybe 2 hours, and catch everybody that leaves the community center, or catch everybody that's at the farmer's market, or, people that leave the town, go 4 hours and just, catch people that leave the town hall, or the library, those kind of things.
Okay,
I
if
wanna-
we do that, I think that's a really good idea, but we have to have something that somebody can look at in 2
Right,
seconds
right.
and talk to us about.
Right, we need the question, right, we need the format, and that's what hopefully Kamora can help us put together.
Okay, so we need to set up a format to
Seek information,
seek information in open public settings.
correct.
Okay, we can do that. That's not hard.
I was actually thinking about something like that. It came to mind after the last sustainability session that I went to, and it was influencing change in the community. And it had a lot of good ideas. Understanding community dynamic, thought, I was thinking about, and I think we're already on the track. Do we have meetings with like, or does the town have meetings with businesses, other stakeholders in the community, whether it be like individual committees, boards, medical facilities, do they meet? Do businesses meet and talk amongst
Yes.
themselves?
There is a small business people's association that meets at 8 o'clock in the morning once a month in Willimantic, and I don't know the name of it, but I can find out.
Because
They're-
And they're not
they're
all
part
from,
of this. I'm sorry, go
they're not
ahead.
all from Mansfield, but some of them are. And we can, if we do that, if I find out the name of that organization, and I've done business with several people who go to that meeting, we can ask to come, or we can ask the people from Mansfield just to stick around for a few minutes later. That wouldn't be hard to do.
Because it would be interesting to get their thoughts, what barriers do they see, what are their feelings, almost like a survey type of thing.
Sure. Well, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. But I kept thinking about that, like, what goals do they have? What do they see it as? And then the other thing with the sustainability was community-led initiatives can have a ripple effect. You're building trust, building community engagement, and it was just.
You know what else I just thought of? What's the name of it's the Downtown Partnership is where we should start for the business.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's where we need to go.
So there's also the Economic Development Commission that might also have some
Okay, that's good.
help there. So yeah, that was where going to be my 2 points was EDC and the Downtown Partnership is
Okay.
there's also a
Yeah.
board for that.
Yeah. Okay, so we got people to talk to in that regard, and then we can find people in other organizations. Occurred to me that we might want to try to go to PTO meetings. And every time we try that, they tell us no, but now that we have Ray and we can sick him on them.
I tried doing it a couple times and they were just kind of like, I would even ask to be put on the agenda, and then I
Yeah.
would get an email the next day or the day before saying, sorry, we can't have you. Our thing is full. We're gonna have to push it to the next time. Like, you're kidding me, right?
Yeah, well, you know what? A lot of administration has changed. I think the place to start is Peter. And Peter thinks it's a good idea, then other people will not think it's a bad idea.
Peter thinks it's a good idea.
I said that,
I've had a couple discussions with him. I think he's in our corner, I think.
oh, he is totally in our corner. He is a good buddy of mine. That's probably for the schools, it's probably best to start with him.
Yep.
Okay, so I think that's one big new community conversation that we hadn't thought about, but that it would be good to have. What's the next thing on the agenda? Is that enough? Do we have more to say about that? No, okay, I have to play games with my screen to get the
I
agenda.
haven't, if you just want me to just move forward. The next
Yeah,
thing is
move forward.
the next thing is new business, and the first item is the joint meeting. We just talked about that. We can
Okay,
do
and the second item is mine, I think.
The peacemaking workshop.
I got good news about that. I talked to a woman who was a representative of an international organization called Nonviolent Communication. I talked to her for about a half an hour. And my initial thought was we're going to run one workshop on nonviolent communication for 2 or 3 hours sometime in the fall. And that's what we're going to do. But after I got finished talking to her, I thought, well, that would be good. But even better would be to get 20 people to be train the trainers to teach people this form of nonviolent communication, with which I was incredibly impressed. This is an organization that is global. It is not a bunch of people who just thought up a new idea yesterday. And they have a very simple 4-part format to teach people how to talk to each other to manage conflict. It is outstanding. And this is coming from me as a therapist and a teacher and all that sort of stuff. So I asked the woman to write me a proposal and tell me how much it would cost. And I asked for 2 parts to the proposal. One is for a 3-hour workshop and one is for train the trainers. Last time we tried to do train the trainers, I was informed that we weren't allowed to train town employees with public money. God knows why. That didn't make any sense to me, but we'll try it again. So when I get her proposal, I'll know more about what I'm talking about. And the one thing I'm sure of is I'm going to have to go around and squeeze money out of people because I'm sure it will not be cheap. But these are very effective people. I mean, they stop wars. They teach Arabs and Israelis how to talk to each other. They're in countries where nobody talks to anybody, which is not all that different from us. So I will follow up with you in our next meeting and tell you what I found out, or if I get more information, I will send it around in an email. But at the moment, I am hoping that we can figure out some way to work with them and that we can afford them. They have about 10 books on how to do this. And I know just with my own training, I could read one of those books and run one of those workshops, but I don't want to. I would much rather have somebody who does it all the time and knows all the little subtleties. So that's where we are. And nobody else needs to do anything, because if we can manage to do this, it will not take a lot of effort from any of us, because the biggest effort, there's going to be two big things: one, getting the money, and two, getting the publicity. So I'm working on it now. I think it's a very good organization, and that is for the peacemaking workshop. Whoever attends, we will be teaching people how to talk to each other about things where they think they have nothing in common. And it starts out on the basic assumption that every request and every action is based on somebody's attempt to meet a need, and they either are doing it well or they're doing it poorly, they're doing it respectfully or they're doing it intrusively. And what they need to do is start with the need and the request, and not with the judgment and the punishment. It's not real hard. I mean, in many ways, it's active listening if you've ever taught counseling or had a counseling course.
Yeah.
It's exactly that, but there's a lot more to it than that. So anyway, I'm on it and I am excited about it, and I hope it doesn't cost us a fortune. And the lady I talked to lives in Connecticut. And there are quite a few trainers in New England, but further away they are, the more it costs to get them here and then put them up overnight and all that sort of stuff. So I'm working on it. Nobody else needs to worry about it, but I just wanted to let you know. And I think I sent around an email and asked everybody to take a look at their website. So if you haven't, please do, just so that you know what they're all about. It's a very impressive organization. So that's my report on community conversations, and I am pleased about it. And I hope we can find some way to integrate. I mean, if we had to, I could do a workshop like that, but I don't want to. I want somebody who does it all the time to do it.
Sure.
So that's where we are with that. I was real excited about it.
It's good.
Okay, what's next on the agenda?
Member reports.
Member reports. What's everybody been doing?
Monica,
Monica, what have you been doing?
So, I don't have a report per se, but I do have something from Margaret that I was supposed to ask. For those of you who picked up the Juneteenth posters, do any of you know if you have an extra? We did not save one for the student. So
I definitely have several extras because she gave me a lot more than I could distribute. Did other people distribute them? I didn't think so. Margaret distributed a bunch. I distributed a few, and she printed a lot more than we needed. So we need a better distribution system for the future. I have them. I'm not home. I can get it to you when I come home, which is around July 18th.
okay, awesome. If you could, that'd be great. We want to make sure the student gets one too.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. What's everybody else been doing? Anything? Did anybody go to the Code Juneteenth program? Yes, I'm sure that one was very good. Okay. Just FYI, all of you, I fell on my head 4 days ago. Yeah, it is ugly. It's still ugly. I can show you the little bloody spot that they glued together. But I am not seriously injured, but I am a little impaired. How can I just say that? I'm an old lady. When you fall on your head when you're an old lady, it is a subject of concern. But I've been x-rayed and poked and pinched, and I'm okay.
Goodness.
Oh, God.
Isn't your birthday coming up?
Yes. I'm going to try not to trip on anything, and I'm going to try to be healthy and eat lobsters and drink champagne. It's a big one. I'm going to be 80 years
Yay.
old. 80. Yay, Jane.
Sounds good.
Yep. What,
I
Debbie?
went to the third Thursday
Oh,
with
yeah.
the
good.
NAACP, and I'm just gonna say what I wrote here. Helped with Third Thursday. Wow, what an experience. I would love to see Mansfield be like that. I know we have the Celebrate Festival, but that was amazing.
Mhm.
I mean, I've never really been to one before because there was always something, but I said that I would go and help out. And that was by far just the color of people. And it wasn't just, it was just amazing. And the music, and I was blown away. Wet. It was so hot and humid, it was miserable,
Yes.
but that was amazing. And you know, I always go back to the cultures and food, the variety. I mean, it was just, it blew my mind. And that's another reason why I started thinking about maybe, you know, we need to connect with businesses or, you know, the other stakeholders in the community, because it just, we need to do something, you know, we can't just do that. I'm also going to be doing this Saturday, I'll be going this Saturday to the library
Oh,
for
good.
the
Thank
movie.
you.
And I'm cheating. I'm watching the movie so I can be prepared. And it's called American Fiction.
Mhm.
And I recommend it. I recommend watching that movie. It's yeah, I'm gonna have fun with that one. There's the what's it's an author who is Black, and he writes wonderful novels, but now his agent is telling him the company wants him to write something that is more Black. And he's like, what are you talking about? So that's like the whole premise of it. And then he's kind of like saying, all right, you know, fine, I'll do this. And if they don't like it, they can go, you know, go away. And that's saying it nicely. But they wanted the book. And it was just, he's struggling with this thought of writing the way that people want, you know, no, but they want to see how the Black culture is. And he's like, you're not getting it. This isn't just, because he's a celebrated author, he's a professor, his sister is a doctor at a planning facility, his brother is a plastic surgeon, and
And they
it
want
was,
him to be a ghetto boy.
yeah, and it was just, so I'm like halfway through the movie and I was just already like kind of like flipping through my notes from the Sustainability Connecticut, and I was like, yeah, okay, I can use this for Saturday.
Oh, that sounds great. Is that on Netflix or don't you know?
Yes, it is on Netflix.
Good,
I
okay.
believe if it's not on Netflix, then it's on Amazon, but I know it's on one of them because I had watched it.
Yeah, because
A
I
lot of
can
other,
get that here.
yeah, I
Okay.
highly recommend it. And there's a lot of other different movies that I've been watching and documentaries, and just it, yeah, it kind of blows. It's, I wish I would have learned this history the proper way when I was growing up, but of course, you know, it was dumbed down and whited up, I guess you can say. Um, it's just mind blowing.
Well, and the important thing is that you're learning it now because nobody teaches this way in public schools.
No, no, and
And
I'm
then
not
when
sure
the
they're
kids
going
find out
to.
about the ones who find out about it get really angry.
Yeah, my daughter was very upset when she went to college. She's like, I know I'm not learning everything, but why didn't they teach
Yeah,
us
I
this
used to
in
get that. I
school?
used
I'm
to get
like,
that all the
I'm
time.
sorry.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Debbie?
Yes, I was also at third Thursday. I was working at the WAME table because, as you know, I'm on the WAME board, and as Janine said, I was just telling everybody about the diversity that went by our table for 4 hours from 5 until 9. And, you know, it's an exhausting night to be there and constantly
Yes.
interact with people and have people come up to the table and just to see what people's needs are. I mean, real life, every day, people that I don't get to see in Coventry or Mansfield, where I spend a lot of my time. It's only when I'm in Willimantic. And then also I'm on the committee and have been going to meetings. We have an interfaith, intercongregational group now on interpersonal relationships, and we're meeting again July 16th. We're actually meeting at the synagogue in Willimantic is our next meeting. We met at Storrs Congregational last month. And so that's really all around justice, peace, and interpersonal relationships and what churches should be doing in the communities. Not churches, but all faith communities.
I would love to be invited to one of those when I get home, and I won't be home till the end of summer. But
Yeah, you'll miss the July meeting, but I'll let you know. I'll send you information on the meeting after
yeah,
that.
because I mean, you have just put your finger on exactly the thing I'm the most interested in.
Mhm. Okay.
I just finished reading a novel called Jephthah's Daughter. And it's another one of these Hasidic women trapped in a Hasidic community and trying to get out. And it is the most fascinating study of how to oppress people and what rigidity does to religion and why it's so important not to. You know, just an amazing book. So, okay, thanks, Debbie. Anybody else?
What was the name of that book, Jane?
I'm going to spell it. It's Jepthe, Jephthah's Daughter. And don't get into it unless you're prepared to hear all of the minutia of Orthodox Judaism about things you never even thought about. It's unbelievable. I mean, I've been studying Judaism since I was 4, and there was still a lot of stuff in there I didn't know anything about. So, okay, anybody else doing anything that you want to talk about? Barbara, how's the violin?
That's all I've been doing.
I know.
Like 5-6 hours a day I've been rehearsing. If
Wow.
you guys want to come to some concerts, 3 Thursdays in July at the Andover Congregational Church on Route 6.
Oh, yeah,
July
I took a
11th,
photo of, I took a photo of that up from the library board yesterday, Barbara.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I plan to go to some.
July 11th, 18th, and 25th. Should be 3 good programs.
I'm sure it will be. I'm
Sounds
sure it
really
will be. Okay, anybody else doing anything you want to talk about?
I have a big vegetable garden doing the community plot, and I'm trying to grow different vegetables, but pumpkins. If I get pumpkins, my goal is to bring the pumpkins to the September festival if they're ready to give to kids. They want them. I'm learning. I've never grown pumpkins before. I've grown everything else. But pumpkins, you have to look for the male flower. You got to look for the female flower.
Oh, really?
I'm like, yeah, it's but they're huge. The vines are just kind of like crawling around. But and I got to meet a lot of families from Bangladesh that are up there. I've got to meet someone it was a white, 2 white females. One is a little bit more on the uppity side, and it was funny to see how she was interacting with the plot next to her, the one that was one's from Nepal, 2 or 3 are from Bangladesh.
This is in the public garden where everybody gets a piece?
Yeah.
Yeah.
$25 for a 20 by 30 lot, and you talk about things and you share your slug and bug stories. But it was funny to see some of the interactions. Me, I'll just go talk to anybody. But there is this one, she always comes with she must come right from work. She has on her nice shoes, her nice clothes, and she's taking a picture of herself, in the garden. And I'm like, would you like for me to help you water? Because, you look like you're going to get muddy, because it was very muddy. She's like, no, I'll do it. And then the gentleman who was from Nepal was trying to help her out. And her interaction was interesting. Came with me and it was no problem, but it was anyone that was other than white. It was just, I behaved, but it was interesting how she would interact with other individuals. But when it came to, and some of them had broken English. I don't care. You're talking vegetables,
Right.
but it was just interesting to see that. So that community was another, it's been fascinating to do that as well, you know, so.
It sounds fascinating. Okay, yeah, anybody else? I think I need a nap.
That head, that injury.
Yeah, right down on my head. And then they, they looked at all the symptoms, no concussion. I said, oh my God, I am too lucky. This is wonderful. Are we done?
Communications is next. Do we have any communications, Monica?
No, no communications.
We have public comment. We don't have any of that. Nobody's from the public is here. So the last thing is adjournment, unless something else is on the agenda.
Anybody got anything else you want to share?
No.
Have a wonderful month. I'll try to stay upright.
Happy 4th of July, everyone.
Happy
care.
birthday.
Tomorrow.
Enjoy your weekend.
Take care.
Bye.
Guess what? Yeah, we need a motion.
We have to have,
adjourn.
okay, somebody move the adjournment, please.
I move we adjourn.
I'll
Ray,
second.
Janine, second, all in favor? Okay, we are now officially adjourned. Thank you very
Good
much.
night, everybody.
Thank you,
Good night,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye-bye. See you soon.